Strange times indeed with Cliff McAllister. I am your host, Cliff McAllister, the Czar of the Bizarre. Welcome one and all right here, twitch.tv/metcomedynight. It is I, Cliff McAllister, the Czar of the Bizarre, here to guide you through the world of the unexplained and the world of the paranormal tonight. On the broadcast, it's open lines night. That means if you've experienced anything you can't quite explain, anything strange, anything unknowable, call into our program. We want to hear about it. Broadcast this information out to the world. If the one person watching now wants to call in, we'll post the link in the Zoom chat. Otherwise, we'll post it again later. This is, of course, a call-in show. People call in, they hear about, they tell about their strange and unexplained experiences to I, Cliff McAllister, the Czar of the Bizarre, and as a public service, we listen and broadcast their messages, their experiences out to the world so that people who have experienced the unexplained will know for sure that they are not alone, that there are others out there who have experienced things unknown, and that they might be prompted to come forth with their stories as well. For the general education of the public, we produce this show to ensure that people have a voice. Yes! Flaming hands in the emojis. Now that is the kind of good content we like here on Strange Times Indeed. Of course, if you have something strange, you can call in, but we should say, just as we were talking about this show, working as a public service for all, so that the world may know about the strange goings-on, about the unexplained, about the bizarre, the weird, the wild, the wonderful. People in high authority do not want this show to reach the main broadcast waves. They do not want people to get out. They do not want people to hear the stories that are told on this truth-telling program. Why, just a half hour ago, prior to this broadcast, I'm sitting here in the technical booth with our technical director, Stephen Craig. I'm plugged into Zoom. I'm ready to go. It's almost time for the show. And all of a sudden, the computer itself shuts down. Our computers don't just shut down on its own. Keep it quiet. Is it keep it quiet or keep it quiet? Am I yelling too much?
No. I say keep it quiet because, you know, we don't want, like if this is the main, large, huge broadcast, then everybody would know we're exposing these paranormal activities,
They're trying to
these
keep
stories.
Us quiet. The higher-ups, the CIA, the shadow government, does not want the information shared on this program to get out into the world. They're trying to shut down our computers remotely prior to the start of the broadcast. It could happen at any moment. At any moment during this broadcast, I'm not entirely certain that the government won't try to infiltrate my own laptop and shut down the program from beyond, to keep this information from getting out into the public. This is, of course, a truth-telling show. We talk about the unexplained. We also do dream interpretation live on the show. If you've had any dreams you can't quite explain, the unexplained stories don't just have to be in real life, you see. Sometimes people have dreams. Those dreams mean things. There are hidden messages in every dream. And so in addition to calls where we hear your stories of encounters with the unexplained, with the paranormal, we also hear your stories about dreams. And we provide, I specifically, provide some insight into what those dreams have meant. So if you've had a strange dream or a strange encounter, you are always encouraged to call into Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister here on the twitch.tv/metcomedynight network. Now, this show is brought to you by the Maryland Ensemble Theater because they're the only people who have the guts to put this show on the air. One thing you'll know about the Maryland Ensemble Theater, they've got all these shows here on twitch.tv/metcomedynight. Every other Wednesday, they've got Over the Hump, hosted by our delightful Stephen Craig. A great fellow. There he is, the host of Over the Hump.
Trump.
Met Comedy Night's own morning show. Whoa. What was that? Anyway, strange things happening over in his apartment. Every Friday, there's a special improv show. Last 2 weekends, it was the Comedy Pigs, but this weekend, this Friday night at 9 o'clock, Crit, the D&D improv show, will be performing right here on twitch.tv/MetComedyNight. They've been working on their hour-long D&D improv show, and they've been converting that to a virtual format. So we hope you'll join them there tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. The Maryland Ensemble Theater is also honoring the suffrage movement with their 4-part series, Victory is Within Our Grasp. Now, this is a show about the women's suffrage movement, 4 parts, each part $6. You can learn more about that at marylandensemble.org/victory. And if you want to support the Maryland Ensemble, head to Maryland Ensemble Theater, marylandensemble.org/donate. We've got a comment here in the chat from Barefoot52 says, "Hi, Cliff." Well, hi, Barefoot52. I'm, of course, Cliff McAllister, the Czar of the Bazaar, host here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. It's open lines tonight, so if you've experienced anything strange, anything you can't quite explain, please call into our program. Now, next week, we return with the second part of our 4-part series, Who Killed Marilyn? We're going to be looking at chapters 3 and 4 of this book. The chapters are titled as such: Chapter 3, Marilyn and the Kennedys, and Chapter 4, Bobby's Second Thoughts. So if you want to be a part of this, you can also watch Part 1 of Who Killed Marilyn over on the Met Comedy Night YouTube channel. They've got all our old episodes right on there for you to watch to catch up in case you have ever missed a broadcast. I'd like to give a shout out. As you might know, we've got this great new set behind us. Whoa, there I go again. Right there in the chat. Bunch of me's out there. Now we've got this nice set here, created by our producer, Kevin Cole. Wonderful stuff here. We've got some new art that's going to be added to the set in a future edition of the program. Now this is art, this not really a gift, but was purchased from artist Mark Rogers. Kevin, the producer, assures me this is a different Mark Rogers from the Mark Rogers some of the folks in the chat might know, but if you go to Mark Rogers Art at Instagram.com, this is a piece of art here called The Mystic Veterinarian. 24 by 18, oil on pastel, 2019. It's just a painting that I love of this mystic veterinarian, an extraterrestrial creature there with all sorts of unexplained beasts around him that he cares for these nice pioneers. So that'll be featured somewhere on the back wall here, maybe here, maybe there, maybe over here. Could be anywhere on the set. You have to tune in next week to find out. We just got to build a nice little frame for this little bad boy here. All right, well, how about this? We're only 10 minutes into the program, but Stephen Craig, as we said earlier, I offer dream interpretation on the show, and Stephen, you've had some strange dreams lately. You had one that you wanted to tell me about.
That is correct, Cliff. I've had previously only been reading from a dream journal that I started 6 years ago, and I actually have been dreaming again since reading dreams to you.
That's right. For those of you who aren't regular viewers, Stephen Craig is what folks would call a dreamer. And he has dreams on the regular. And so he's been sharing those dreams with us. He's worked on training himself how to lucid dream, and he has a more recent wild dream to share with us on the program tonight.
So I went from very recently not remembering any of my dreams to consciously thinking about them again. And I actually wore my pizza hat and a bunch of food on my shirt because...
In the dream, or as you were drifting off the dream?
I wore it today because I wanted to have an opportunity to share this previous dream with you.
Oh, and you thought that if you wore like some ragtag clothes, we wouldn't bring you on screen. You thought if people thought you looked like a common hobo, we wouldn't give you airtime.
Well, no, I was wearing a bunch of food because food might be related to something that's in the dream that I was sharing.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yes, well, I'll tell you, Stephen, just so you know, the one dress code here at Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister, no dress code.
No dress code. Good to know, because I won't wear pants next time we broadcast.
Do you want to know a secret between you and me and the 6 viewers watching us tonight?
Sure. That's perfect. I hope no one else joins before you end up telling me the secret.
Yes, well, here's the thing about Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. We've been doing this show since May. Started out on Instagram, moved over to Twitch. Every night I appear just like this in my adventure jacket here, whatever t-shirt I happen to be wearing that day, and my good-looking glasses. But what people don't know is every programming every night here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister, you gotta be wearing the flannel pajama pants.
Flannel pajamas. You gotta be comfy when you're investigating the paranormal. I mean, you're the best at it. So whatever it is that makes you comfortable, amen, do it.
Well, here's the thing. I only started doing this show when Kevin Cole plucked me off the street and said, "You're quite a character. Why don't you hop on the airwaves and tell your truth to the people?"
Yeah.
And my truth, Stephen, is most nights I go to bed around 7 o'clock, and then I wake up around the witching hour. I go out and I stare into the skies to see what I can find or to look for witches.
But Thursday nights, you stay up to give the truth to the people.
Up late, but to stay up late at this thing, I've got to be cozy in my PJs.
Amen to that.
So, Stephen, you were telling us about your dreams.
Yeah, so I had a very vivid dream where I was in a very nice home. It wasn't large. It was just very fancy. Kind of like the feel like you might be in a home where you don't feel like you should touch everything. It wasn't like extremely expensive, but it was very neat. And I was with family. There was a large family that was an extension of my family. So I could only assume that I was with my girlfriend's family and there was like a large gathering and this was like an important event that people had been coming together for. And it seemed like people were all having a great time, but I didn't know everybody there, and so I felt pressure to have a good impression on everyone. There was a time where everyone was getting ready to leave and go to the boardwalk, and this seemed exciting. I'm sure I was going to have fun. I went to the bathroom, and I announced I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick. And I mean, typically in my normal life, a bathroom trip is very quick. It takes hardly any time, even if I'm going number 2. Well, in the dream, I actually did have to go number 2. And
you're in this nice, expensive home during a party, to recap.
I was in the nice, fancy home, very neat, and feeling like I need to have a good impression on this extended family that I was getting to know. But I went to go take a number 2 in the bathroom right as people were going to go leave and have a good time. So more or less, what ends up happening is I take a great deal of time in this bathroom. So, and I don't know how else to say it, but I needed to wipe several times, and it seemed endless, that I had to keep grabbing large handfuls of TP to attempt to clean up. And it seemed like I could never get to where I was ready to actually leave this bathroom. And I remember being checked in on, and at one point thinking, well, send some people without me, but then some people still had to wait with one car for me. And I went back to the same methods, but then considering other extensive methods for which to clean myself up. But it just seemed like it wasn't going to happen, and I woke up. So I had a poop dream.
You had a poop dream? Yes, that is for certain, Stephen. But I think what you've also experienced in this dream is a rare interaction with the wealthy life, with the high life, with the upper class.
I'm sorry, Barefoot, and that you think the dream is gross.
This dream is gross, but here's the thing. Sometimes you get a taste for that life, for the good life. You're living up in Beverly Hills. You go, this is nice. And even though you're not destined for that, you're not meant to be in Beverly Hills, a part of you wants to stay. And a part of you might want to make any excuse you can to chase that wealth, to get that rich. But that part of you that says, I want to be rich, I want all this money, I want this good house, this house that I don't need, these cars that I don't need, I want to taste. I don't want to taste of the rich life. I want the rich life. I want to be a rich, wealthy man. And the part of you that's driving you towards that, that's driving you to spend all of your money on yourself, that's your asshole, my friend.
That's my asshole. That's determined.
You see what I'm saying?
Rich. I am. So is it because it's because I wanted to stay in the Beverly Hills fancy home that I had to poop for so long?
Yes. You got a taste of what it's like to be a billionaire out there. Look, the poo is still coming all over the screen.
It's poo on the screen.
You got a taste of what it might like to be a billionaire. And you know why they call them billionaire assholes? Because the thing that motivates them is their asshole. And it says, I must stay here. I must use this triple ply toilet paper, quadruple ply, sextuple ply. The billionaire assholes, they want to hoard the nicest toilet paper in the world. When that 8-tuple ply, that octuple ply toilet paper, that could be dozens upon dozens of rolls of normal double ply. And then double ply prices would be lower and more people could have nice toilet paper, but the rich want all those extra plies.
Do you think it was
guided by their rich assholes? And that's your rich asshole talking to you.
Well,
saying,
but I was
trapped in this bathroom.
Almost stealing from the rich, stealing all the octuple ply.
Because you had a taste.
Well, so what is there a character flaw or an adjustment I need to make? Because I can't tell if I'm the asshole or if I'm like stick it to the man within the context of the dream.
And here's where it's something that you need to work on. When you are dealing with this kind of thing, when you are dealing with your billionaire asshole, and you're there with the 8-ply toilet paper, you have two options. You can steal it and hoard it for yourself in the moments that you have, or you can take the roll entirely, sneak it out with you, even if your bum's still a little dirty, sneak it out and distribute it, freely distribute it to the people. And so the question is, when you are faced with extreme wealth, when you are in a position to steal from the rich, what will you do? Will you steal for you, or will you steal for the world?
You know, if I'm ever in a position to steal from the rich, I think I'm going to get stuck in a bathroom trying to poop.
Absolutely. Some dreams are just vicious visages of the future.
Oh. Well, eight ply is pretty darn thick.
Pretty darn thick.
It was funny, and then I hope you're not thinking that it's gross.
It was funny, and then.
Or I hope you're not a billionaire hoarding wealth from a bunch of people right now.
Yes, that's very possible. The thing about the rich, they're not very thick-skinned. I want to know if Steven has any stories of circus ghosts. Steven, a question from the chat. No stories of circus ghosts.
No story. If I had any story about ghosts, you would know, Cliff. Actually, I mean, I have not experienced a ghost vision myself, but I have been around someone who has experienced a ghost, and this is in a theater. Mm-hmm. If you'd like me to elaborate, what was happening was this was a preview night. So in the theater, in case you're not aware, the night before the opening, but it's still kind of like opening because you have an audience. The technical term preview is so that people can't write a review. They have to come back and write a review of the other one, even though it's really a performance. You buy a ticket. For one reason or another, after something got painted, this doorway didn't get screwed back down to the floor. I was working run crew on this particular. No, I was a character. This was a rabbit hole. Kevin saw me in Rabbit Hole, and we were talking about Rabbit Hole and Over the Hump After Dark.
So where was this theater located?
Atlantic Stage, so Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
All right. Not a local theater to our broadcast area here in Frederick, but this
not a local theater for Frederick. No. So the very beginning of the play, the lead character, which played my mother, had thought she saw me walk from stage right to stage left, like behind the set, because the set was it kind of like disappeared into black curtains, so it wasn't like completed. It had this aesthetic where it was like open into the emptiness, into the rabbit hole, let's say. And after the show, or no, at intermission, she was like, "How dare you? You scared the shit out of me. Why would you do that?" Because like at the time, I mean, I know not to mess around with the live performance, you know? And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she was like, "I saw you walk backstage, like on stage behind the set from like stage right to stage left at the top of the show." And I was like, "I swear that wasn't me." And then like I saw Mindy's eyes light up being like, "Oh my God, I saw a ghost." Because she completely saw a figure of my nature walk by. And this is actually a slightly different instance than the door frame falling down. But on the same show, and this was the one that was during preview, that door frame fell down in the first scene, like as the play started. And yes, someone had forgotten to screw it back down after doing a paint touch up. It wasn't me. I wasn't working as a TD in the capacity at that place, but it had fallen down. And then later there was this ghost vision. And so there seemed to be some kind of paranormal stuff happening in this space that was previously a high school, and the theater of that high school was now a professional theater, and then other rooms in that building were classes for a community college during the day. So it was like, it's a weird, pretty abandoned space, but during the run of that show, a couple of eerie things had happened like that.
There are also a lot of creepy and concerning things about abandoned high schools. What kind of high school just gets abandoned? What do these?
Well, it was
stop learning. There's no need for learning in this town anymore, and then it becomes a real theater.
I think it was
die in the high school.
The high school. There was a new high school built, and so they had moved, and it was an academy. So it was, like, extra higher heightened learning or more specific learning, because you can go to the academy, arts and science, and like choose a major as a high schooler in theater or in science and or other majors. But a new school got built because it had grown so much. And then this other building wasn't used by them anymore. But this other building also might have been repurposed for that school when that school was started. So who knows how old the building was, maybe even before that high school. It just kind of transitioned to a lot of different things, it seemed like.
Interesting. Now, here's the thing that concerns me, Stephen. Listening to this story, I know your friend and you are convinced that this is some kind of spectral being that they just kind of mistook for you. But it's also alarming that she mistook it for you so clearly.
Yes. It was like the spitting image of me. And I was just backstage, sitting in my dressing room.
And that's what concerns me. This could be a doppelganger situation, Stephen. Doppelgangers are bad news.
Well, that's bad news. Like 8 years ago, bad news is, and several states away, right?
And several states away. 8 years ago, bad news, and several states away. But did you ever encounter your doppelganger again? Did you do anything to put a stop to your doppelganger?
No, I mean, I wouldn't know why I would try to stop something. I mean, I was never affected by it.
That's the problem. People encounter their doppelgangers, and they don't do anything to stop them. They don't do anything.
I didn't encounter it. Mindy encountered my doppelganger.
It's not just a doppelganger in that it looks like you, Stephen. It's an interdimensional version of you that has sifted into our reality.
Okay.
It has phased through the door, through a rift in this theater, and a version of you is out there.
Probably with a good back and a good ankle.
And 8 years ago, possibly it's living the sweet life. Maybe it's there with that billionaires. But it's out there.
And I'll bet
it's been out there for 8 years. You know how far a thing can travel in 8 years? A doppelganger specifically? The things it has done with your face and with your reputation in that time? It has probably done bad things. Doppelgangers are rarely good. They do not come from a good dimension.
They probably closed the circus as soon as I joined the circus.
Absolutely.
It could have easily injured my ankle or even made my van break down several times on my way back home after I visited in January, which January would have lined up quite closely to the annual anniversary of when the original event started.
Well, there you go. Perhaps you find trouble every time that anniversary comes around.
I did not know I was in this much trouble.
And it's not always trouble that's happening to you directly. It could just be out there living its own life, but it's got your face. And one day you might find yourself in the middle of a strange town that you've never been to.
You know what's funny, though?
People recognize you, and they'll recognize you for something horrific.
Not kidding at all. A lot of people tell me that my face is recognizable, or like they'll say, you look like my friend, or you look like this cousin, or it's never like you look like this celebrity. It's like, oh, you remind me of, you look like this, fill in the blank, and it's usually always someone different. And so it's like, did my doppelganger come here like and hang out with you?
Exactly. That's what's very possible. You look familiar because in the time that you've been living your life, this doppelganger has been all over the place. When you encounter these, it was 8 years ago, but you cannot allow these things to run free. Should you encounter your doppelganger, you engage it in combat on the spot. It's the only way to survive, to protect your reputation.
Well, I think if I ever encountered my doppelganger, I would be highly freaked out, and there would be events that happen.
It's like that movie of the three guys who were triplets separated at birth. Are you familiar with this film, Stephen?
I have heard about it, not seen it.
Now, this is a fascinating thing. So let's do this. The documentary hinted at here in the chat, Three Identical Strangers. We're going to talk about that right after the break. We'll see how it applies to our technical director, Stephen Craig. Stephen, we're going to roll a quick break. I've gotten a message from elsewhere in the apartment that Spangler, our office intern, is trying to get inside. So I'm going to go and let him in.
Well, let's roll the animation.
All right. We'll be right back on Straight
Here we
Shot
go.
TV, Cliff McAllister.
Cliff, you okay?
I'm coming. I'm still here.
Cliff,
Do not stop the broadcast.
I can hear you. Are you invisible?
Not stop the broadcast.
Oh.
Here we go. I'm still here. Like I said, I had to go and let Spangler in. Here's our little boy. Office intern here at Strange Times Indeed. Survivor of a chupacabra attack. And tonight...
Pug 71 likes Kitty.
That's right. That's right. You can't really see it where it is on camera, and he'll get up and run away as soon. Look, he's doing it now. Goodbye. There he is, right there. What a beautiful boy. Our boy Spangler. Just had to come up for the end of the broadcast. Missed his papa. So anyway, Stephen, come on back. We were talking earlier during the show. We broke down Stephen's dreams, his anti-capitalist dreams. Then he told us about an incident with a spectral being at a theater that we have determined to be his doppelganger. And now a quick point for you, Stephen. Now, this comes from the chat. It says, it's like that movie of the three guys who were triplets separated at birth. Now, I believe this is a broadcast to a reference to the documentary Three Identical Strangers. And you're vaguely familiar with this. Now, for those of you watching, this next part does include a spoiler about this movie, but I do think it's fascinating. These three boys were triplets, and they were basically kind of brought in after they were born to this adoption agency that kind of specialized in taking in infants that were twins and finding homes for them separately for families that would do these studies, and they would see how the siblings got along well.
Yeah, it was an experiment.
Right. Basically, yes. Now, not
like intentionally separating siblings.
Specifically identical siblings. And so it's possible, as it is posited here, that you may have been one of the people in that experiment. The company that was involved with this sent their records to Yale, I believe. But the information from that study has been blocked off. It's restricted. You can't open it for 100 years. That's just the way they legally entered it into the system. And so there are families who will live and die not knowing that they've got an identical twin somewhere out there in the world. And so one of two things has happened to you, Stephen. Your doppelganger has slipped in through an otherworldly portal, or you've got an identical twin. And the thing that you need to keep in mind here, you've got to...
My brother told me I was adopted, but
That's possible then. That
I told him he was
adopted.
That
helps narrow it down a bit. But the thing is, you can do one of two things. One, if it's your doppelganger, you engage it in mortal combat on the spot.
Okay.
And you bring it to the end. Because you cannot have this doppelganger causing trouble as you.
Yeah, I need my ankle back.
Or, and this is very important, the other alternative, it's your secret identical twin, which you do not want to engage in mortal combat.
I want to hang out and play chess, go swimming, and juggle and stuff.
This is not an interdimensional version of you set to cause chaos in our timeline. This is just someone with the exact same DNA as you, but not you at all.
I feel like if my twin had walked from stage right to stage left behind the set of a show that I was working on, that if they were like me, would have exposed themselves later and laughed into my face and then said, "Hey, it's nice to meet you."
Yes, that's very possible.
Because it seems like if I found out that I had an identical twin out there who, for one reason or another, was in a show, and I was to play a prank on them and have one of their friends see me and then try and disappear as if I was a ghost, I would want to rub the greatest prank I ever pulled off into my identical twin's face.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Here's how you tell in that last moment, in that final moment there, when you encounter your doppelganger or your secret identical twin, you look them right in the face, and they're going to look exactly like you. But you have to look them dead in the eyes. You got to get right in there and look right in, gaze deep into their pupils. And looking inside there, you won't see a soul. You will see total darkness, almost a black hole. You will see the epitome of nothingness within their eyes. And if that is the case, that is your doppelganger. But if they reflect a humanity to them, a certain humanity that you will recognize as soon as you see it, it's your identical twin. But you must examine the eyes before you make the critical choice
It's on the eyes.
of engage in mortal combat or love like a brother.
Oh, hey, whoa, we missed something right here.
What do we got?
Hug 71 is now following.
71?
Woo!
Welcome to the show. Thanks
Yeah.
for watching here. Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. Stephen, thank you so much for talking to us tonight, sharing your dreams and sharing your strange and unexplained encounters.
Yes, thank you for having me on, Cliff.
I hope you have a good luck trying to find your doppelganger and or your separated identical twin.
Yes, and if not, I'll still hopefully get into some more dreaming for us.
Well, let's see something.
All right.
Let's see if Cliff McAllister, the Czar of the Bazaar, has schooled you good today.
School
We
me
talked
good?
about your dream earlier. Now
Yeah.
here's a pop quiz for you. A pop quiz. Should you find yourself inside of a bathroom in a rich man's house, they've got 8
I'm stealing their
flight-
toilet paper and giving it to the poor.
That's right, you are. That's right. You are. Stephen Craig, you've won the internet tonight. So thank you for talking to us. Stephen, go ahead and roll that animation. I'm going to get the record started one more time.
Here we go, everybody.
Welcome back, one and all, to Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. I, of course, am your host, Cliff McAllister, the Czar of the Bazaar. We're doing open lines on the show tonight. That means we'll be taking your calls about anything and which kind of strange, unexplained thing you've encountered in the recent past. It could have been in the last 2 weeks. There has been a dearth of extraterrestrial and paranormal news in that time, so it does seem, I'm guessing a dearth means less. There has not been much, that's for certain. So perhaps it's just because people haven't reported it yet, and if you need a safe place to report your encounters, it's right here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. I, of course, am your host, Cliff McAllister, the Czar of the Bazaar. So we've got the Zoom link right here in the chat. Please call in if you've experienced anything strange. We'll admit you right to the show. We'll hear your experiences. We're not dirty scullies here on the show. We believe you. So call on in. We offer this as a public service so more and more people will realize the strange encounters going on in the world around them. And thusly, everyone will feel safer telling their strange and unexplained stories. Now, a breaking news alert coming out of Frederick, Maryland, here where we broadcast our show. We have noted in the past the stories of dismembered raccoons in city alleyways. Raccoons found absolutely beheaded, just the head of a raccoon in a puddle of blood with no body. And through our investigative work here, we believe this may be the work of Governor Larry Hogan trying to quell his insatiable bloodlust. Well, people of Frederick, be careful out on the street tonight because Governor Larry Hogan has been seen in the city. And this man opened up the state. He opened up restaurants and bars within the state of Maryland back to 75% capacity. And in the time since then, there has been such an explosion of cases in Frederick County that we have had to scale things back to 50% capacity, which certainly makes sense, but why would a man intentionally open before people are ready? This is a man with insatiable bloodlust, and now he's coming to Frederick to reap his rewards. To go after the people sickened by the disease and get his sick kicks. No more raccoons for Mr. Hogan. No, he's coming for the people tonight. So if you are in Frederick, be on the lookout for a short, bald man who considers himself to be the leader of this state. Other news coming in over the wires. A woman recently named Breonna Taylor was killed by police officers. But in an investigation, it found that no police officers were responsible. The only person charged was the person who shot and missed her. So how did she die? Were spirits the ones that did it? I'm not entirely sure, but this was a crime clearly committed by people who spend their time walking around in white sheets. So something to think about. Terrible there. So we reiterate here on the program tonight that Black Lives Matter, that we will not stand for this brutality by the unseen forces, the police that walk these streets, that knock without warrants to the proper houses, and even with the proper house, will light someone up the second they find the room. It's absolutely disturbing, it's absolutely sick, and we won't stand for it here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. Sick things happening across the country. These are truly strange times indeed. Now, of course, here on Strange Times Indeed, we do take your calls. We hear about all manner of strange and unexplained things. If you've encountered anything strange, the Zoom link is right in the chat. Please call in and share your experiences with us. We also offer dream interpretation. We heard an incredible dream from our technical director, Stephen Craig, earlier in the broadcast. You can always check that out tomorrow or the next day on the Met Comedy Night YouTube channel, where we archive every episode. And of course, you can come back here after the broadcast. The whole thing will be archived there for 2 weeks. So if you want to watch it then, you can go right there and hear that crazy dream. Fox 5 News reports Japan is now tracking and investigating UFOs. Yes. Now, this is actually a story that I do not have brought up, but this is a real news story. we will go ahead and I will pull that up. As always, here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister, we are brought to you by the Maryland Ensemble Theater, the only people who have the guts to put this truth-telling program on the air. And you can support them by going to marylandensemble.org/donate. They are doing all kinds of important work over there. They've got this twitch.tv/Met Comedy Night channel. Tomorrow night, Oh Crit, the D&D Improv group will be right here at 9 o'clock performing their signature long-form improv show. It's only an hour. It's not that long. So tune in and get your taste of adventure and laughter with Oh Crit, the D&D Improv show.
I want to say I just threw out a poll to test because they're going to poll the audience on that show.
Oh, yeah?
And I think the time is running out. Maybe I need to start it again. Did people vote? Well, 100% yes. These are strange times. The other answer was,
right.
Well, no, 2020 is normal. But we only had one vote. Let's. I'll run that again in the background, if you don't mind, Cliff.
Absolutely. You roll that thing while I tell the people about Victory is Within Our Grasp. Victory is Within Our Grasp is a 4-part series coming from the Maryland Ensemble Theater as a part of their Season of Surprises. This 4-part series chronicles monologues and true speeches from the suffrage movement. So go ahead and check that out. You can check that out at marylandensemble.org/victory. Here we go. This is news. We're pulling up the story right here from Popular Mechanics. Now, there's some Popular Mechanics running this publication. Sticky Joe, Stevie Boy, the most popular mechanics. Yes.
Did you call me?
Oh, ho, Steven. No, I apologize. I was just listing off some popular mechanics who I know. This is information. The Japanese military is officially tracking UFOs. Japan's defense minister has unveiled guidelines for Japanese defense personnel that experience UFO sightings. The guidelines state that members of the Japanese self-defense forces should record any UFOs they observe so that the defense ministry can study the evidence. The rules come just a month after the U.S. Department of Defense announced similar protocols. Yes, that's right. An increasing amount of UFO sightings across the world, specifically seen by members of our Air Force, of pilots out there. And so there needs to be a popular protocol, a reason for people to figure out how they can study these things, to figure out what's going on, because we can't keep hiding it. People keep witnessing these extraterrestrials. So something must be going on. And if you have witnessed an extraterrestrial, perhaps in your backyard, perhaps while flying an airplane, perhaps while flying a spaceship, we encourage you to call in here in Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. Here we go. We've got a poll coming in. How strange are these times? Not at all. I think they're strange. And 1,000% strange. We've got one vote for 1,000% strange. Yeah, you betcha. These certainly are some of the strangest of times I've seen. And that's what we talk about here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. Now, next week, we're going to be returning to our bi-weekly 4-part series. That's right. The Maryland Ensemble Theater's main stage Season of Surprises aren't the only people with a 4-part bi-weekly series. We're getting into Who Killed Marilyn Part 2. We're going to be examining chapters 3 and 4 to figure out who this book would rather have us believe killed Marilyn Monroe. And there are a few choices. Stephen, I wonder if we can get a poll going for this just to see who people think might have done it. So we want to create a poll right now.
Sure thing. I'll go ahead and end this other poll that has been started.
Yes, 2 votes for 1,000% strange. It's the winner. It's 1,000% strange.
1,000% for sure.
So here's our breakdown of who we think might have killed Marilyn. This is what we got from our episode last week. And if you missed it, head over to Met Comedy Night's YouTube channel. You can watch Who Killed Marilyn Part 1. We talk about the whole first 2 chapters. We're breaking it down 2 chapters for each episode. Chapters 3 and 4 are coming up next week. But now here are the 5 people who we think might have been culprits. The Kennedys, Arthur Miller, Joe DiMaggio, the family of Johnny Hyde, and extraterrestrials. Specifically, Marilyn Monroe's extraterrestrial family. That's right, this book describes Marilyn not only as a sex siren, a sex goddess at times, but they also describe her as being a woman with a psychic musk and a cosmic woman. Now that right there sounds like a subtle admittance that good old Norma Jean herself may have been an extraterrestrial and may have been about to go public about her existence in an attempt to get better film roles. And she was killed by her own family because it would undermine their investigation of our planet. So we'll be talking chapters 3 and 4.
So wait, who's I'm creating the poll. What were the options? The Kennedys?
The Kennedys, Joe DiMaggio, Arthur Miller, the family of Johnny Hyde, Marilyn's first husband, and the her extraterrestrial family. Her extraterrestrial hive, perhaps. Those are the 5. So we've got a poll going. Just for those of you watching tonight, who do you think did it? Who do you think killed Marilyn? And if you didn't watch last week, you can always tune in there. And follow me at Strange Times Indeed on Instagram. It's my own personal account. I know this book published in 1975 is surprisingly hard to find, I hear. Which seems hard to believe. This is an important book. You would think it'd be in every hotel room right there next to the Gideon's Bible. If I had my way, it certainly would be. But since some people can't seem to find this book, I have been reading a chapter on Instagram Live. You can listen to me read chapters 1 and chapters 2 on the Strange Times Indeed Instagram channel. I'll be reading chapters 3 and chapters 4 in the week to come before our next broadcast. So if you want to play along at home, you can listen along. You can take notes as you listen. I've also joined Twitter. I joined Twitter just the other day. Now, they wouldn't give me the Strange Times Indeed handle. They said it was too long. But if you want to hear my thoughts, if you want to hear from Cliff McAllister over on Twitter, you can follow me at Strange T Indeed. I hope you'll join me there. The fun goes on every night of the week, even if we aren't broadcasting here at Strange Times Indeed. I'm still around. I'm still working hard to bring this show to you. Well, we've only got about 7 minutes left in the broadcast tonight, so we're going to go ahead and put that poll back up. Extraterrestrials is currently trending on our Who Killed Marilyn poll here on Twitch. If you haven't voted, make sure you vote. Very important to vote this time of year for who you think killed Marilyn Monroe, and we'll be exploring that more next week. We've got this nice set on the show. We talked about it a little earlier. We showed it off some. Our producer, Kevin Cole, built it. There you go. Look at this wonderful thing. We just got this new piece of art in the mail that we ordered from an artist named Mark Rogers. You can follow him at Mark Rogers Art on Instagram. Look at this. This piece is called The Cosmic Veterinarian. And there he is. What a nice man. Taking care of those animals. We're going to find a nice spot on the wall for that once we get it framed like this image right here. I'm receiving a message from beyond. Oh my goodness. Holy smokes. Folks, you would not believe the vision that just passed across my eyes. Visions, not of sugar plums, no, of more troubling things. Somewhere deep beneath the Denver airport, at this moment, Governor Larry Hogan is meeting with the Goat Man of Maryland. and plotting a massacre. Together, the two of them will claim hundreds upon thousands of lives. Now, this is very troubling vision that has just come to me. And I think you've heard it here first. Strange times indeed when the Goat Man of Prince George's County returns. You will have a friend in a very high place. This will enable him to get away with his crimes, with his murders, with his massacres. Yes, these are very bad news. And I hate to leave you all on such a sad note tonight on Strange Times Indeed, because a Goat Man of Prince George's County is nothing to laugh at. We'll be talking about that more on a future episode of the show. But I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in tonight here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. I, of course, am your host, Cliff McAllister. I want to give a special shout out to our boy in the booth, our technical director, Stephen Craig. Stephen, thank you so much for coming on tonight and sharing your dreams with us and sharing your supernatural experiences.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you find your doppelganger.
It'd be fun if it was my twin.
It would be fun. It's a lot nicer to find somebody who gets to be a brother than to find somebody who you have to kill.
Yeah, I haven't killed yet. So I say yet. I don't intend to.
That's something we like about you. One thing that can be said of most good people on the planet is they haven't killed anyone yet.
Yeah, fair enough.
And if you have killed somebody, if you've taken another human life, maybe you're a bad person, and it doesn't matter what your job is. If your job is to take another human's life, you do that on the regular, that's probably a very bad job. That's definitely not something you should get automatic respect for. So just something to think about when it comes to our own mortality as human beings here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. This show, of course, is dedicated to the Maryland Ensemble Theater, who has the guts to put us on the air every week. We tell some hard truths here on the show. Some people don't want to hear it. You know, we had that comment in the chat earlier. It was funny, and then, because people don't want to hear the truth about the billionaire assholes that interpret our dreams. Well, that interpret our dreams. The billionaire assholes that exist in our dreams. So thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in tonight. We would be nothing without our viewers. Thank you for Stephen Craig. Thank you to the Maryland Ensemble Theater. You've been watching Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. Stay strange, terrestrials. Oh, Bob Ross.